Good evening. It's the Festival of Lights, the most important festival in India. At the outset, a very happy Diwali to all the viewers of Rajya TV. Welcome to the news tonight. My name is Zakir Jacob. Up first, as always, the headlines that we're tracking. After an audacious attack on his country's parliament, the Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper pledges to redouble the fight against terrorists abroad. On a day when Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Srinagar to meet flood victims, Pakistan violates the ceasefire not once but twice. Modi meets with Jawans in Siachen, thanks them for keeping the country safe. He says 125 crore Indians are with them on Diwali. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari says he's not in the race to be the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra. The party is now most likely going to back Devendra Fadnavis for the top job. And the nation celebrates the Festival of Lights. The President, the Vice President and the Prime Minister wish the people of India a happy Diwali. Now, while the country was indulging in the Festival of Lights, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Kashmir today. He chose to spend Diwali with flood victims and soldiers. First, he visited Siachen, the world's highest battlefield. No Prime Minister has gone there in the last 10 years. Then he swung by Srinagar and spent time with people who were affected in the recent floods. The Congress party, though, has called this yet another publicity stunt by the Prime Minister, and it comes just ahead of elections in Jammu and Kashmir.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's day out in Kashmir. On Diwali day, before reaching Srinagar, he also made a stopover in Siachen.
शायद ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ होगा। मैं कोई चोटियों तक हो आया हूं जहां -30 डिग्री टेम्परेचर रहता है, जहां हमारे जवान तैनात है। मैं उस ऊंचाई से भारतवासियों को भारत के लिए जीने मरने वाले जवानों के साथ खड़ा रह करके एक विशिष्ट रूप में दीपावली की शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
In Srinagar, Modi spent time with the flood-affected people, meeting a few delegations at the Raj Bhavan, visiting a relief camp and some more places that suffered the worst damage.
सियाचिन में जहाँ पे दिन प्रतिदिन जीना दुर्भर है, जहाँ जिस तरीके के हालात हैं उसमें हमारे सिपाही जिस तरीके से डटे हुए हैं, इस तरीके के दौरे से उनके मनोबल को बहुत बड़ा जो है उत्साह बढ़ेगा उनका। और मेरे ख्याल से ये बहुत ही अच्छा कदम उठाया है जो प्रधानमंत्री ने उठाया है।
But the visit itself was not without its share of controversy, with the opposition parties dismissing it as a publicity stunt ahead of elections.
फ्लड विक्टिम से ज़्यादा जो चिंता उनकी है वो चुनाव की है, उसके लिए वो लोगों को मिलजुल रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं।
The Congress said Modi should focus on bringing real relief to the victims.
मैं कहूँगा कि मोदी जी वहाँ जा रहे हैं, लेकिन वहाँ पे लोगों की मदद भी करनी चाहिए। कश्मीर बहुत बड़ा है, मुझे नहीं मालूम वो कहाँ दिवाली मनाएंगे, कहाँ नहीं मनाएंगे, लेकिन ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मदद सरकार को वहाँ करनी चाहिए। वहाँ के हालात बहुत ख़राब हैं।
All shops, business establishments and government offices across the valley were closed on a Bandh call given by the separatists. Various groups also used the Prime Minister's visit to put forth their demands. The Jammu and Kashmir National Panthers Party sought the scrapping of Article 370.
Today Hurriyat is protesting, tomorrow National Conference will protest. Day after tomorrow it will be time of PDP or some other Kashmir-based political group. We have to change our mind. Jammu Kashmir is a problem. And what's the problem? As long as Article 370 continues, this problem cannot be settled.
But along with the brickbats, there were also some bouquets for the Prime Minister.
जिस तरह से जितनी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मदद हुई वो सबसे पहले की गई। इससे वहाँ के लोग बहुत प्रभावित हैं। उन अलगाववादियों को तकलीफ इस बात की हो रही है क्योंकि मोदी जी दिवाली मनाने जा रहे हैं। उन्हें तकलीफ इस बात की हो रही है क्योंकि वहाँ के जो कश्मीरी हैं वो कश्मीरी अवाम अब भारत सरकार के साथ, गवर्नमेंट के साथ मिलकर चलना चाहती है।
Close to 300 people died and more than 1.5 million people were affected by the floods in Jammu and Kashmir. The centre had declared the floods a national calamity in view of the heavy damage. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
On Diwali Day, though, no sweets were exchanged across the border, the BSF not offering any sweets to their counterparts, the Pakistani Rangers. The reason? Just a few hours before Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Srinagar, the Pakistani Rangers once again resorted to unprovoked firing on some BSF posts along the border, both in Jammu as well as in Samba. Official sources say the small arms fire started on forward positions at about 20 minutes past 11 o'clock this morning. It stopped about 5 minutes later and then restarted again at about 40 minutes past the hour. On the eve of Eid, at the beginning of October, it was the Pakistani side which did not offer any sweets because India had reportedly fired on Pakistani positions. Some political news now, and Devendra Fadnavis has now emerged as the BJP's top choice to be the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, who staged a show of strength on Tuesday, has now himself indicated that he would back Mr. Fadnavis. After meeting with Mr. Fadnavis in Nagpur, Gadkari told the media that he was happy to play whatever role he was offered in Delhi and that people should not compare him with Mr. Fadnavis. Gadkari's reaction on Thursday came in the wake of reports which said that the party's central leadership had taken a dim view of the lobbying by some Vidarbha MLAs asking Mr. Gadkari to be the next top man in Maharashtra.
देखिए, देवेंद्र फडणवीस और मैं हम एक ही पार्टी के, वो मेरे सहयोगी हैं और उनको राजनीति में मैंने लाया है। और आप जिस प्रकार से बार बार वो और मेरे में स्पर्धा इस प्रकार का जो दिखाते वो उचित नहीं है। हमारे पार्टी में ऐसी कोई स्पर्धा नहीं है। जहां तक मैंने पहले ही जाहिर किया है कि मैं महाराष्ट्र में आना नहीं चाहता, मैं दिल्ली में खुश हूं।
Time now to get you more news that's happened on Diwali Day across the country and nationwide. At least 7 people were killed when a fire broke out in a firecracker shop in Rajasthan's Barmer district. The dead include the shop owner and his 2 sons. The incident took place around 1 o'clock in the morning when some miscreants were bursting crackers outside the shop's godown, which then caught fire. According to the police, all 7 people who were present in the shop were trapped inside and they were killed as the shutters were down. Home Minister Rajnath Singh is all set to visit Israel next month amid a flurry of bilateral engagements signaling the deepening of ties. Mr. Singh is expected to meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the 6th of November. Some relevant meetings were also being worked out for the high-level 4-day trip. It'll be the first visit of an Indian Home Minister to Israel since June of 2000. The Bangalore police today detained a suspect and filed a criminal case against the Orchid International School, where a 3-year-old girl was allegedly raped Tuesday. However, no arrests have been made yet, as the 3 staff members were only picked up by the police for questioning. There have been angry protests in Bangalore since this case was reported. The Delhi High Court has sought the response of the Delhi University on a petition filed by a lawyer alleging that the admission process for MPhil and PhD courses in the university is arbitrary. The court issued the notice to DU and sought its reply by the 16th of March next year. That's the next date of hearing. The petitioner has alleged that DU violated UGC guidelines to arbitrarily admit students into the Masters of Philosophy and Doctorate of Philosophy courses. Time now for a break here on the news tonight. We're going to come back with more international stories, including the US-led coalition now targeting rebel-held oil fields in Syria. That's a major source of income for the Islamic State militants. Those and more stories when the news tonight returns. Welcome back to the news tonight. Time to focus now on some international stories. And terror struck the Canadian capital Wednesday morning when a masked gunman killed a soldier and then stormed into the Parliament building before he was shot dead. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, though Canada's Prime Minister Stephen Harper says the attack was inspired by the Islamic State.
The drama began around 10 a.m. local time. Gunfire creating panic outside the Parliament House in Ottawa, near where Prime Minister Stephen Harper was speaking. The gunman first shot dead a soldier at a war memorial nearby, then stormed into the Parliament building. People fled the complex by scrambling down scaffolding erected for renovations, while others took cover inside as police with rifles and body armor took up positions outside and cordoned off the normally bustling streets around the complex.
We saw someone rushing in center block, followed by police officers. Then we heard multiple shots were fired.
Guy came from the side on my left-hand side and came out with a rifle and shot at the man. And Then the guy went falling down, and everybody was just in shock.
It was unclear whether there was any connection between Wednesday's shootings and an attack on Monday when a convert to Islam ran down 2 Canadian soldiers with his car, killing one near Montreal. No group, Islamic or otherwise, claimed responsibility for either the attack in Ottawa or the one near Montreal. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper addressed the nation soon after the attack, promising swift punishment and a strong response to terror. Canada had joined the US-led coalition against the IS in Iraq and Syria this month.
We will not be intimidated. Canada will never be intimidated. In fact, this will lead us to strengthen our resolve and redouble our efforts, and those of our national security agencies, to take all necessary steps to identify and counter threats.
Parliament and buildings in downtown Ottawa remained on emergency lockdown at 6 p.m. Canadian police are investigating a man named Michael Zehaf Bebu as a possible suspect in the shootings. Several world leaders have come forward expressing shock and support.
Just 2 days ago, a Canadian soldier had been killed in an attack. We now know that another young man was killed today, and I expressed on behalf of the American people our condolences to the family and to the Canadian people as a whole.
So an attack on their parliament is an affront to this parliament too. So today, Madam Speaker, we stand shoulder to shoulder with our Canadian comrades in defiance and resolution.
The continued spate of attacks means Canada is firmly on the terror radar, with a sharp relook at security preparedness on the cards. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And in about a month and a half, it'll be 13 years since the attack on the Indian Parliament. Meanwhile, let's shift focus to some of the other stories that we're tracking globally. President Barack Obama has now expressed cautious optimism over the recent efforts to try and contain the spread of the Ebola virus. A day after the U.S. government imposed new screening measures for travelers from West Africa, Obama said that many relatives of the only known person to have died of the virus in America seem to be out of danger for now. He says there are also modest signs of progress in Liberia. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has confirmed 9,911 cases of Ebola, as well as 4,868 deaths. These have happened in Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia.
We now have seen dozens of persons who had initial interaction with Mr. Duncan, including his family and friends, and in some cases, people who had had fairly significant contact with him have now been cleared, and we're confident that they do not have Ebola. We now are very confident that if any additional cases came up in Texas, that there is a plan in place.
Now, the US-led coalition of countries which is fighting the Islamic State, both in Syria and Iraq, has now launched fresh airstrikes on oil fields which are controlled by the extremist group. Now, according to a report by the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, the coalition carried out 4 airstrikes on oil fields in Jafra. This was late Wednesday. Now, these oil fields are controlled by the IS militant group. It is also one of the major sources of income for them. The battle for the strategic town of Kobani is continuing on Thursday. It's going to be close to a month since troops have been fighting for control of this strategic border town. Gunshots were heard throughout the morning. It echoed across the border on the Turkish side as well. Clashes between Islamist militants and Kurdish rebels have intensified. Kurdish lawmakers have now approved a plan to send more fighters into Kobani. They want them there to relieve fellow Kurdish fighters, marking the semi-autonomous region's first military foray into what has been Syria's civil war. The battle has also taken a major political turn for Turkey. The siege has sparked protests among Kurds, even threatening a peace process with Turkey's own Kurdish insurgents, who are angry at the government for failing to help them in this fight. More international stories coming up in Global Buzz. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas of inciting a car attack in Jerusalem. Now, this comes after a Palestinian drove a car into a crowd at a tram stop, killing a baby and wounding several others. Police officials shot the driver as he tried to flee. The chief executive of Russia's Vnukovo airport and his deputy resigned today over the accident that killed the head of the French energy company Total last week. Airport officials say they have accepted the resignations. Russian prosecutors have also detained 5 airport workers. The CEO of Total, Christophe de Margerie, and 3 crew members were killed when their aircraft hit a snowplow. 2 people were killed and over 14 injured when a tourist bus collided with a truck in the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido Thursday. The bus was carrying 33 tourists from Singapore. Both drivers were killed in the accident. From all the international stories to all the sports stories now coming up in Sportsbeat. Sports Minister Sarbananda Sonowal has asked the Indian Olympic Association to take up Sarita Devi's suspension at an international forum. He's also asked the sports body to push for withdrawing the ban on the Indian boxer. Boxing India will now write to the International Boxing Federation, hoping to revoke the suspension of Sarita Devi and her coach, Gurubaksh Sandhu. Real Madrid won 3-0 against Liverpool in a Group B Champions League clash in Anfield. Cristiano Ronaldo netted his 70th Champions League goal, while a double goal from Karim Benzema guided Real to a comfortable win. Now, this victory is a 3rd straight one in Group B for the reigning champions. Boxing legend Muhammad Ali is reportedly critically ill. The news of Ali's condition circulated after the former boxing champion did not attend the premiere of a new Hollywood movie about his life. It's called I Am Ali. The 72-year-old boxing legend has been suffering from the progressive neurodegenerative illness, Parkinson's disease. Meanwhile, another sporting legend battling for life, the doctor treating Michael Schumacher has now declared that the former racing champion is out of coma. The doctor also says that the Formula One racer is expected to recover within the next 3 years. Schumacher met with a skiing accident in the French Alps in December last year. And our thoughts and prayers with the family of Michael Schumacher, as well as tens of millions of his fans right around the world. We'll take a break here in the program. When we come back, tens of millions across this country are celebrating the Festival of Lights. We'll tell you how Diwali has changed with the changing times. That and more coming up when the News Tonight returns. Welcome back to the News Tonight. Our final segment is on the Festival of Lights. Now, Diwali celebrations in the metros, at least here in India, have left behind a lot of the traditional ceremony that's usually associated with the festival. It's now turned more contemporary with the changing times. Let's now take you to a Diwali Mela that happened in the capital recently, which reflects this newfound equation.
The Diwali Mela itself a modern concept. Bringing together all the different colors of the festival under a single symbolic umbrella. The annual Diwali Mela, small or big, is an occasion to bond with our cultural roots, acquaint children with the wealth of India's cultural heritage, while enjoying the commercial delights of modern entertainment.
When Diwali is a festive season, so everybody, it's a festival for whole year. So we always look forward to celebrating in a bigger way.
It's a concept that has taken off in a big way. The annual Deep Utsav at Delhi Haat, organized by the Sahitya Kala Parishad, is among the biggest Diwali events on the city calendar. From the latest fashion trends to vibrant traditional handicraft that reflects the depth of India's cultural tradition, all sparking off an exciting shopping spree. Diwali or Deepavali literally means a row of earthen lamps. Light, prosperity and joy are the festival's essential themes. And lighting the diya has taken on many contemporary forms. Here's a unique one using bottles.
Basically, we do recycling of product, which you can see like everything is recycled and handmade and hand created, because everybody is talking about the environment, but nobody is actually doing this work.
Another big draw were the kandils, made up of organic, crepe, handmade and kite paper, with their unique feel and flavor. if you have a fancy for earthen lamps and candles, this is definitely the place to visit for the sheer array of diyas with innovative designs. Spice that up with folk dances and varieties of festival cuisine from around the country, and it's quite an evening, quite a celebration.
Delhi Heart seems to be the heart for the shopping lovers, be it the usual times or the festive season. So this year again, it is back with its Diwali Mela, the Deep Utsav, which offers a wide variety of fashion, the rich culture, the beautiful lights and the stunning lamps that adds to the joy of people. So here I wish you a very happy and a safe Diwali. With camera person Nakul, Ravleen Kaur for Rajya Sabha TV.
And when we're talking about Diwali, how can you not talk about the culture of gifting, which has also changed with the times, from bulk purchases by corporate entities to hand-picked exclusive gifts by families for their dear ones. The trend for gifts only keeps getting bigger and more expensive.
For the Festival of Lights, the sheer variety on display has made the search for the perfect gift just a little more tougher. Be it traditional, modern or personalized, there's so much to choose from. For the traditional, you can pick from a variety of Ganeshas, puja thalis or candle stands. The array of modern gifts range from home decor to subtle bling-free gifts.
So instead of going to the pure silver thing, people are preferring the plated one because they are electro-lacquered, they are cheaper, they won't tarnish.
Little tea lights and the mithai and all, it's gone up above. We have colorful votives, we have big candle holders and, really traditional and modern, definitely. And we have other things like household items like trays, coasters and everything.
Dry fruits, sweets or candles. Nothing comes in dull printed boxes anymore. Lending their own festive touch, shopkeepers have introduced attractive and embellished packaging.
People have become really conscious about, gifting and everything. So we also work like that, like we have beautiful boxes for each gift because, presentation is everything. So we really have to take care of that.
There is no dullness to the gift exchanges, from designer glassware to candles, silverware to artistic products. Families and friends are exchanging anything that catches their fancy.
And there you go. That's our little gift to all our viewers. Our special Diwali edition of the news tonight. From me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team, have a healthy, happy, and very safe Diwali. We'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night.